What's up, everyone? Welcome back to CNC Auto Works. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Today I'm going to jump in here and show you guys everything it took for me to carb swap TBI OBS Chevrolet. I get a lot of questions all the time of how I did this or how I did that. So maybe I can just make a little short video and sum up everything, and hopefully it'll help some guys figure some things out. One of the first things that I would think about when I was getting ready to carb swap is basically the transmission that was actually in the vehicle already, or the transmission that you're going to be using. On this particular OBS, I got pretty lucky. It had a manual transmission, so I didn't have to really worry about my transmission kick down or some kind of computer controlled module to carb swap this thing. If you have a 700 R4, it's still pretty easy and reasonable to go ahead and carb swap. If you are running a 4L60E, that's when you start running into more money, more complications. It's hard to, you got to get a standalone computer module that runs off a throttle body, position sensor, run into a little bit more money. But I'm going to go ahead and get this air cleaner off of here, and we're going to dive in here and take a little closer look at exactly everything I did to swap this thing over. Now, first off, I went ahead and I ordered everything that I thought I was going to need. If you're just swapping straight over, you're going to want to buy you a 12 bolt intake. I believe it's a 12 bolt, and I've heard that you have to ream the holes a little bit to make them work with the TBI heads. I actually took mine one step further and put Vortex heads on mine. So I had to get an 8 bolt Vortex intake. So basically after you pick the intake and carburetor of choice, so what you're going to be wanting to run, and you got your transmission situation figured out, you want to go ahead and pull off all your TBI stuff. And you're going to want to pull your factory distributor and, you know, everything that's pretty much straightforward. Get your new intake bolted up. You're going to want to get a HEI distributor to drop back in because it's all standalone. And then, of course, the carburetor of your choice. Once you get everything all put back together, it's fairly simple. What I did is I used the stock fuel pump. And if you look on the harness of your stock distributor, there will be a purple wire with a white line. You will hook that up to your tack signal on your HEI distributor. You can see there you got a tack and a battery. You want to hook that purple wire with the white line to that tack signal. That's what will turn your fuel pump on, or at least keep your fuel pump running as your engine's running after you ditch all the TBI stuff. Next, you're going to want to get an ignition wire. What I did is I just ran it off of one of my injector wires after I ditched the harness. Or I really didn't ditch the harness, I just tied it into an ejector wire, ran it to the battery on my distributor, and that took care of all the ignition. And that was no problem. That was all the easy part. I actually didn't know if I was going to stay carb forever. But I'm going to, because it's too hard to tune the TBI with a cam. I've actually got a LT4 hot cam, and I don't want to worry about trying to get a chip burned. I haven't cut the harness down. I actually left it in here. This is an air gap intake. I kind of just stuffed it all down in there. It don't look too bad. You can't really tell. I need to take the time and trim down the harness. Another thing you're going to have is a fuel pressure regulator with a bypass. The one I got here is a Barry Grant. It's an old style, but Holley does make a bypass carbureted fuel regulator. And all I did was I took my factory lines and I ran my feed line into one side of that regulator, and then I ran the return out of the bottom, and it just returns all the fuel. I think these TBI fuel pumps run about 15 pounds of fuel pressure, and with carburetor you only need about 6 pounds. So I've got this regulated down to 6 pounds, and then I just come out of there and come around the back and I hook back up into my fuel line. I still got my the stock fuel pump, and it turns on because I hooked up that purple wire with the white line. I still got my factory fuel filter. Everything underneath still 100% factory. Everything inside works like it should. I've got this OBS actually has a tack, and I can't think off the top of my head what color the wire is, but one of the wires that are on the stock distributor harness runs the tack, and I just tied it in to the fuel pump wire, so I still got tack signal. All that stuff still works. They make several different throttle brackets. This one here is from Elbrock, and it was for the Vortec intake, and it has everything you're gonna need. I still retain my cruise control. I got my throttle, and if I would have had a 700 R4, I would have been fine. I could have used it too, because this one has everything I needed. They do have another bracket that'll just hook onto this bolt on the back corner of your carburetor. That's what I have on my Ford, and it you can run the kick down and the throttle cable. It only has 2 spots. It don't have one for the it won't have one for a cruise. That's why I went ahead and went with this one. But all in all, that's about all it takes. It's on these OBSs, it's really simple, really straightforward. It's not hard. I mean, once you got your intake and your parts, I think this intake was just under 200 bucks. I got this Summit Max Performance carburetor. It was like 360, and then that's an Assault Racing distributor, HEI distributor. It came with the wires and everything, and I think it was just right under 100 bucks. And I'm gonna go ahead and fire this thing up for y'all, just so you can hear it run. Started in about a month, and that was a fairly smooth startup. You know, it starts good, idles good right away. I have no complaints with anything. You can still do this on the newer OBSs, the Vortec OBSs, but it's a little more involved, and it does take a little bit more money. Basically because of the 4L60. That's where you start running into money. But other than that, everything on a Vortec OBS will be exactly the same as this. I thought I'd bring you inside here just to kind of confirm that the tachometer still works. So far, I've been really impressed with the swap. It's been really nice. I haven't had any issues. Like I say, LT4 cam is not that big of a cam, but it's still the drivability, the startups, everything is really nice, really smooth. It probably has a lot to do with maybe even just the carburetor and the tune, but it's definitely better than the TBI, especially for performance-wise. I've seen guys go through nightmares of trying to get chips burned, and they finally just give up and they go this route, or they'll put a Holley Sniper or FI Tech or something on. But I went with a carburetor just because I can tune them myself. They're super easy. I see a lot of guys with the Holley Sniper and FI Tech, and you know, their startups really ain't that great, and some of them tend to run rich, and some guys, the O2s burn up every other day, and it just seems kind of like they're a mess. You know, they used carburetors forever and ever back in the day, and nobody ever had any issues or problems, and finally they came out with EFI. But for performance, I just think the carburetor's where it's at. It's super simple. If you want to really dial it in, you can get an AFR gauge, which is an air fuel ratio gauge, and you can tune that thing and jet it however you want it, just like you would with a laptop on EFI. And talking about the startability on this thing, on my carburetors, I always wire the choke open. I really don't like chokes, and I still have no problem starting anything. The chokes have actually come a long way, especially with the high idle cold starts and all that on the carburetors. But I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer them as best I can. Like I say, on these OBSs, it's simple, or it was simple for me. Some people, you know, it may be a little more in depth for them, but it's definitely not something that you should be afraid of tackling, especially if you're having problems with your TBI. I've seen some people chase the problems with TBIs and chase them until they're blue in the face and never can fix them, and they finally just give up on the whole truck altogether. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hopefully this helps somebody, and until next time, we'll catch you guys later.